Tonight on Huckabee, Ambassador Sam Brownback fights for religious freedom. Uncle Si and the Psychotics rock the hee-haw. And Lucas Holt performs Power of Garth. That's Trey Corley and the Music City Connection. And I'm your announcer, Keith Bilbrey. And now, here's Mike Huckabee.
Yes. Oh, I love to get applause. In fact, I think I'm going to go back and we're going to do the whole open again just so I can get people to clap for me. Because all during my political career, yes, when I was running for office, people just got up and left. That's why I love this crowd here tonight. How many of you saw the White House Correspondents' Dinner? Be honest with you, I hope not. Because if you did, you probably saw one of the most vulgar, profanity-laced, and mean-spirited young women alive spew some hateful venom toward President Trump, his staff, and all of us in America who would qualify for inclusion in the basket of deplorables. Now, my daughter, Sarah, who is press secretary to the president, was invited by the host. Yes, I'm used these days. I don't get introduced for anything I've done. I just get introduced as, our speaker tonight is Sarah's dad. That's it. That's okay. Well, she was invited by the host to sit at the head table in full view of the over 1,000 people who were in attendance, as well as by millions who saw the whole thing on TV. Now, the president did not attend for the second year in a row. Saturday's ambush and the vicious attacks proved that he made the right decision. Instead, he went to Washington, Michigan for a Trump-styled rally and felt the love of an overflow crowd who cheered him. Now, had he gone to the dinner, he would have been the main course. See, the rally was like a massage. The dinner would have been like a mugging. The attacks on my daughter were so cruel that many of the White House press corps publicly apologized for the bullying that she received. But to her everlasting credit, she sat there stoically. She didn't get up from her seat, which was, by the way, less than 4 feet from the podium, and she didn't provide the so-called comedian with a double-ordered dinner of a knuckle sandwich. Now, if the event was there to elevate journalism and celebrate the First Amendment, they failed more epically than when I tried to assemble a tricycle for my oldest son's third Christmas. Their dinner made the Hindenburg disaster feel like a smooth landing. And by the way, I quit going to those kind of dinners years ago. I mean, there's more authenticity in a bowl of wax fruit than at one of those affairs where the swells get all dressed up and pretend to be nice to people they actually hate. All the while, they're looking over their shoulder to see if there's somebody more important who's coming up. Look, I had a colonoscopy a few weeks ago. Now, I'd rather have another one than to go to one of those insufferable events. I really had. After last Saturday's embarrassment, colonoscopy exams and waterboarding have now become more desirable than a press dinner. Now, journalists blame the president for their problems because he calls them out for fake news. And they whine like little girls who didn't get invited to their classmate's birthday party and say, he isn't fair. They seem blind to the fact that they give him 91% of negative coverage. They ignore any successes he has, and all they do is scream, Russia, 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 despite that there's no evidence surfaced that the president has had anything to do with Russia other than his watching a rerun of Rocky IV in the White House theater. The president of the White House Correspondents Association said she hoped that the event would bring more civility to Washington. That's like saying that we hope we'll have better vision if we let Mr. Magoo be our ophthalmologist. At least Mr. Magoo was funny. That vile and vulgar young female did explain one thing for me. Have you heard about this strange trend of millennials eating Tide Pods? That now makes sense. Because if they talk with that kind of potty mouth as she did, they need their mouths washed out with soap. All right, earlier today I spoke with Jim Bridenstine here in the studio. He's got a distinguished career in service to America. It began as a Navy pilot flying missions over Iraq and Afghanistan as a fighter pilot. In 2012, he was elected to represent Oklahoma's 1st district in the U.S. House of Representatives. And on April 28th of this year, he was sworn in to a new duty as NASA's 13th administrator. Please welcome the leader of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, Jim Bridenstine. Of all the jobs I think exist in the federal government, I can't think of any of them that would be more challenging and yet more exciting than that you have, Jim Bridenstine, and that is to be the administrator of NASA. How pumped are you about this brand new appointment?
Well, I'll be honest, this really is a dream job. It's a dream opportunity, but it's an important job for our country. And of course, the President appointed me for this position. I was confirmed by the Senate, and I want to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can for our country and in many ways for the world.
I still remember in July of 1969 when Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. I'll be honest with you, Jim, I thought America can do anything. We can do anything if we can do this. And a lot of Americans may not appreciate that so much of the great achievements we've had in all sorts of scientific discovery would never have happened without the space program.
When you think about how we navigate, how we communicate, how we produce food, how we produce energy, how we do national security and defense, how we do disaster relief, how we predict weather, the way we do banking in this country, every banking transaction requires a GPS signal. We don't understand how dependent we are on space. And I really view my job as at least partially making the United States aware how important space is in our everyday lives. And I'll tell you, under this president, with his Space Policy Directive 1, we're gonna do big things again. We're gonna go back to the moon. We're gonna take advantage of all of the commercial partners that are now available, that were not available in the 1960s. And we're gonna lead the world in an effort to go back to the moon with an eye for eventually going to Mars.
Some of us have watched somewhat with frustration to know that we had to sort of rent space on Russian-made rockets to get to the space station. Are we going to get back to the place where we are developing our own systems to get manned space flight that is not dependent upon other countries or even private sector? Where are we headed in that?
That's a wonderful question. The answer is yes. This president believes that we need to be launching American astronauts on American rockets from American soil. That is a big part of his agenda, and I'll tell you, here at NASA, everybody wants to see that happen as quickly as possible. I will also tell you that the partnership that we've had in space with Russia has been good. In a whole host of areas, we see a deteriorating relationship, but not on our partnerships on space. So it is true that we're currently dependent on Russia for our access to the International Space Station by our astronauts. We want to make sure that we're not dependent, but we want to have a partnership so that when we start flying commercial crew, there's 2 opportunities with Boeing and SpaceX to fly our astronauts on commercial rockets where NASA is in essence a customer. We're going to buy a service. We're going to buy access to the International Space Station through commercial partners, and that puts American astronauts on American rockets, yet again, launching from American soil. So all that is true, but certainly we want to keep the partnership, just not be so dependent.
You've been in Congress. You know that there's a reluctance on the part of many members of Congress to spend money on science and technology. Why is it so important that we make, and I'm going to use a word that conservatives usually laugh at, but it is an investment, long-term investment in science and technology in order to achieve these goals. Tell us why that's important.
So there's a number of fundamental questions that we don't have answers to. The question is there life in the universe beyond the planet Earth? We don't have an answer to that. And of course, NASA is working hard to answer that fundamental question. It's why we're doing missions to Mars. It's why we're doing missions to a moon of Jupiter called Europa. These are important missions to try to understand if maybe there's life, microbial life, if you will, on these other bodies. So I think that's important just for human knowledge. But if you think about the history of civilization, I mean, there was a reason that we crossed the Atlantic to the New World. There's a reason that we built the railroad. There's a reason that Lewis and Clark went west. We are a nation of explorers, and it's in our DNA, if you will, to want to know more, to understand our environment, and of course that's critically important. As you mentioned, budgets are important as well. We're living in a fascinating era, Governor, where for the first time we're seeing the miniaturization of electronics, and we've got commercial rocket builders that are using rockets multiple times. We're reusing rockets. These technologies and capabilities are driving down the cost of access to space. So NASA can partner with them. In other words, we can be a customer, and then we're one customer of many customers, commercial customers, people that are launching satellites for DirecTV, Dish Network, internet broadband from space. So now all of a sudden we're not bearing the whole cost ourselves. It's not NASA purchasing, owning, and operating rockets, but we're a customer, one of many.
Well, I'm excited that you're there. From flying fighters off of carrier decks to running NASA, quite a career. A delight to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Governor. Always good to be with you.
And our thanks to NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine for joining us. You can learn more about NASA's exciting new efforts in space at nasa.gov, and you can follow the Administrator on Twitter at Jim Bridenstine. All right, Keith, tell us what else we got going on tonight.
Oh, what a night. Later on the show, headlines you may have missed. United States Ambassador-at-Large Sam Brownback. And from Duck Dynasty fame, Uncle Si of the Psychotics. But first, country music star Lucas Hogue sings. There's lots more Huckabee on the way.
And we want to welcome our newest sponsor of the Huckabee Show, Hillsdale College. You know, the U.S. Constitution is the key to securing liberty for all of us. But very few people know exactly what it really says, as well as what freedoms that it protects. If you'd like to learn more about this precious gift from our forefathers, you ought to visit the Hillsdale College website. You register for their free course today. It is absolutely free. And the online sessions are only 15 minutes long. It's a great way to dig a little deeper into our freedoms and verse yourself in liberty. Well, my next guest is on country music's fast track. His current album, Dirty South, recently debuted at #1 on Billboard's country music sales charts. Here now to perform a tribute song to the great Garth Brooks, titled The Power of Garth, please make welcome Lucas Hogue.
His fingers to the bone. It always made time for us when we got home. Grabbed Mom and me, glass of tea, and those old cassettes. That memory still as sweet as it was back then. Every time I hear the thunder rolls, I'm right back 10 years old. Those songs are like the soundtrack to my life. Well, I was too young to understand why Mama cried when she heard the dance. Those melodies will never be wrapped around my heart. That's the power of God. Stuck in my truck, all backed up on the interstate. Much too young, took me back to yesterday. So I cranked it up, I sang power of God. Yeah, that's the power of God.
Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you. Great playing.
Oh, thank you. That's what you had to say.
They slipped me the money.
Here's the deal. You ever want to get invited back?
Yes.
You tell me I played well.
You played amazing.
There you go. He's invited back. He's coming back. That is a great song, The Power of Garth, and it's really kind of a personal story for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I grew up a huge Garth Brooks fan. Very first CD I ever owned as a kid was the No Fences album. And it just opened my mind up to so much more of what country music was doing and how it was evolving. And it was just an amazing, amazing project for me to start listening to.
Well, it's a great song, and it kind of, I think, relates. Most of us here have to be Garth Brooks fans. If they're not, then they're subhuman. Right?
Yeah.
You grew up in Nebraska.
I did.
Country boy, a town of 44 people.
44 people, around the Kansas-Nebraska line, a little town called Hubble, Nebraska.
Hubble, Nebraska. Yeah. And so when you moved away, your town got together, took up some money so you could come to Nashville.
Yeah.
I think that's a great story.
It was so cool. Thank you. Thank you. And I give so much credit to all my friends and family back there.
Well, you also are now a representative, in addition to all the music stuff you do in touring. You are a representative for Cabela's, and you do some stuff for them. What do you do?
You know, I do product reviews for Cabela's as well, but I'm also an ambassador because I just love the brand. I grew up as a little kid going to Cabela's. If we ever got to go to Cabela's, it was like going to Disneyland for us, you know, growing up in Nebraska, you know. And I'm just always talking about sportsmanship and how conservation is so important. And growing up in the woods like we did, hunting and fishing, it's a necessity.
What's next for you?
Gosh, we've got so much. The Power of Garth is doing really great at radio right now. The video's about to come out. I'm actually traveling overseas on May 21st to go see our troops again for the 10th year in a row with
Wonderful.
Wrangler National Guard.
Good for you.
Thank you very much.
Well, you're a person who gives a lot of himself to our troops and to other people.
Thank you.
I think all of us want a guy like you to make it to the very top and stay there. I truly mean that.
Thank you so
You're
much.
a delightful person, a great singer and guitar player, marvelous songwriter, and we are thrilled to have you here.
Thank you so much,
Lucas
Kevin.
Hogue, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Now, Lucas is probably going to be coming to your town, or maybe close to it sometime this summer, and he is well worth the price of admission. I want you to find out where to see him. Go to his website, lucashogue.com. Be sure to download his #1 country album, Dirty South. You're going to love it. It's available now at your favorite music sellers. You can get it online. And then, I want to tell you this, as an outdoor bow hunter, Lucas has agreed to shoot an apple off of my head. He promises to do it safely. This is coming later in the show. So you better stick around. I may not stick around, but you better stick around for our version of William Tell. Okay, Keith, tell us what's coming up other than my insurance policy.
Oh, I can't wait to see this. Coming up, news headlines you may have missed. And U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Sam Brownback. Plus, Duck Dynasty's Uncle Si and the Psychotics. Lots more Huckabee on the way.
Well, if you stop by MikeHuckabee.com, you can review a list of questions that I think the president ought to ask special counsel Robert Mueller. Now, it's only a list of 10 questions, but I figure since he's so busy trying to cook up an obstruction of justice charge, he doesn't have time to answer a list of 49 like the ones that were assumed to be the ones he wanted to ask. You can get that and much more at MikeHuckabee.com. Also, follow me on social media at GovMikeHuckabee. No questions asked and no indictments of those who follow me. I hope. Well, there's been a whole lot of news this week, and I've got a few thoughts on some stories that you should know about. And that's why we created this fount of wisdom that we call In Case You Missed It. That's right, we read the news so you don't have to. Well, the long-awaited and much-promoted migrant caravan tour reached the U.S., and it's been interesting, to say the least. As you may know, several hundred people, mostly from Central America, have walked all the way to the southern U.S. border to gain entry to the United States. And you may also know that this is not how our immigration program works. It may be how a general admission ticket to a rock festival works, but not immigration into the U.S. Our Border Patrol officers have had to deal with the wave of illegal immigrants seeking asylum, as well as groups of self-appointed social justice warriors who've come to sing songs, wave flags of any country but America, and then tell the caravan crowd how to beat the system. I tend to agree with acting ICE Director Tom Homan, who said that the caravan crowd represents an attack on the sovereignty of this nation. U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions called the caravan a deliberate attempt to undermine our laws and overwhelm our system. But senators like Montana's John Tester continue to support the open borders agenda and vote to protect sanctuary cities. Look, we need to be compassionate and always be able to shelter those who are persecuted in their own homelands. That's what makes America different than so much of the rest of the world. But we've also got to remember that the credo on the Statue of Liberty that we so dearly love does not say, give me your tired, your weary, and those who are trying to beat the immigration system. That's not what it says. All right, from the land of William Travis and Sam Houston comes this amazing story from the University of Texas at Austin. And I'm pretty sure that John Wayne would not approve of this. Their campus counseling and mental health center is now treating masculinity as if it were a mental health crisis. It's called Masculine UT. It is a program designed to help men break free of traditional ideas on manliness that are stopping them from reaching emotional maturity. Oh boy. I mean, it sounds somewhat like the speech that Davy Crockett probably gave those brave men at the Alamo, doesn't it, huh? Fellas, check your mascara and tie your skirts at the knees. We've got a battle to fight with people who think Texas is Mexico. I'm sure that's how it went down. Well, the University of Texas Counseling and Mental Health Center does not want male students to feel guilty about participating in traditional forms of masculinity. They simply want to empower them to break the cycle. Other schools, including Northwestern and University of North Carolina Chapel Hill, admit that their similar programs are not supported by any research evidence as to the need or effectiveness of the respective programs. So let's do them anyway, right? Oh, by the way, here's my disclaimer. Do not take masculine UT if you have a desire to think, live, or conduct yourself like an actual man. Side effects include mental confusion, walking on your toes, apologizing for almost anything you say, and a tremendous fall off in your dating life, as well as the ability to have children. Okay, don't say we did not warn you. And in other news on the madness known as political correctness, the Boy Scouts of America announced they would drop the word boy from their name now that they are allowing girls into their ranks after 108 years. Beginning in February of next year, the organization will simply be known as Scouts BSA. Wonder if Scouts BS was already taken. Chief Scout Executive Mike Huckabee said that many different names was considered, and the process was incredibly fun. I'm sure it was. He noted that we're trying to find the right way to say, we're here for both young men and young women. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the right way to say that would be called Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of America. But just in case you thought this was all about equality, the Girl Scouts of America organization were broadsided, and they've pledged to launch an aggressive drive to recruit new female members. Makes me wonder if the Boy Scouts, the Scouts BSA, are going for the kill and trying to put Girl Scouts of America completely under. Scouts BSA troops will not be co-ed. Separate but equal is the name of the game for them. Both historic organizations are fighting to recruit new members, to what has become dwindling ranks. And I'm sure this will boost it up. And what better way to succeed than to steal potential Girl Scout recruits and invite them to join your BS Scouts? There you go. Oh, in other news, the U.S. Postal Service is considering changing the name of mailmen to persons in order to keep up with the Scouts BSA. Well, I hope we have given you plenty to think about. Please drop by MikeHuckabee.com. Get a daily analysis of the news from a common sense perspective. Now, one thing that we are hearing far too much about in the news recently is rising religious persecution all over the world, from crackdowns on Christians in the Middle East and China, to rising anti-Semitism in Europe, to ongoing troubles in places like Nigeria and Pakistan. My next guest is dealing with these issues on behalf of the White House and the U.S. State Department. Please welcome Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Sam Brownback.
Hey, Mike, it's great to join you and glad to see you back on the air and doing this.
Well, thank you. Since my other job application didn't go real well, I'm, leaning back on something maybe I can do well. Let me start with something regarding the whole process of your appointment, because it was amazing to me that there was any controversy. These are colleagues of yours from the U.S. Senate. You worked with them. They know you.
Well, that was a great disappointment to me because, and this is a position I helped create 20 years ago when I was in the United States Senate to try to get the State Department to take more seriously international religious freedom, international religious persecution. So I helped create the position, and they knew I knew the topic, but Mike, the base in the Democrat Party doesn't like the sort of things that I've pushed. As a governor, as a senator, I'm strongly pro-life. There's just a number of issues they didn't like, even though they didn't have a dispute with me on the quality or my knowledge of the job.
Let's talk about the job. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom. Religious liberty is a huge issue across the planet, and many people are persecuted because of their faith specifically. What can you do to help open eyes and doors for people who are under persecution?
There's a range of things, Mike, that we can and hopefully will get done. Even today, I just was on the phone with a senator in a Central Asian country that they had passed today a religious freedom roadmap for their country, and they've been an oppressive regime. But they're saying we want to open up because it's a good topic, but they want to grow their economy. And they see the way forward as really being more of an open society, an accepting society. And in the data now, you can show people places that if you want more security, you should have more religious freedom. If you want more economic growth, religious freedom is a key component of the rights that you need to have of the people in your country. So we push it in countries, we push it on individuals. There are individuals that we advocate for to get them out of jail, or even sometimes, Mike, it's just giving them a name. And by giving that name, we can keep them alive in some cases.
Sam, this president observed National Day of Prayer this week in a more public way than we've seen in many years from a U.S. president. A lot of people of faith are supportive. He has been a champion in many respects of religious liberty, the likes of which I've not seen in my lifetime by Democrats or Republicans. I don't know that he's getting the credit for that.
And he has been an outstanding champion of religious freedom. And he pushes it all the time. We had the president of Nigeria was in Washington this week. President Trump raises the issue of 17 Christians that have been killed this past week in Nigeria, and says, there has to be more security provided for people. I haven't seen those sort of things raised in prior presidencies, and this president raises them all the time. He should be getting an A+ for religious freedom advocacy.
Let's talk China for just a moment. We only have a few seconds left, but I can't open this discussion of religious liberty without talking about a place where there isn't a lot of it. What do you see on the horizon in opening up more opportunities for the Christians in China?
Well, China's been going the wrong way on religious liberty issues, whether it's been the Tibetans or whether it's been the Uyghur Muslim population, and you're seeing more in the Christian population in areas. Now, there are some areas where it's not as bad for Christians. But I just think this is one of the things that we've got to continue to elevate is the human rights and particularly religious freedom aspects. It's a large growing population of people of faith in China and particularly of Christians. I think this is a key part of the dialogue. We need to talk about trade, and we need to talk a lot about it, but I think we also have got to keep this human rights agenda front and center. And remember, too, the Chinese want to put forward a system in the world that's different than ours as an alternative for the world to follow. We need to show people that religious freedom is clearly in our portfolio, and that's something I think the whole world wants to see.
I said I was going to let you go, and I will, but one more question about Iran, most oppressive regime, huge state sponsor of terror. Hope there? Should we be more optimistic that something might change in that incredibly oppressive country?
Yes, and I hope people are praying for Iran. The number of domestic protests taking place in Iran is substantial and growing. The people in Iran are fighting back against the Iranian government, and they've seen the oppression of this system and what it's like to have people's arms amputated or hands amputated for a theft that's taking place, or far worse things happening. So I think really there is time for, there is this moment for us to be pushing on Iran, obviously on the missile issue and on nuclear weapons, but also on human rights for the Iranian people, because then you get right at the heart and soul of what Iran is doing to their own people, and it's an atrocity what they're doing.
Ambassador Sam Brownback, thank you so much for joining us. Our privilege to have you here. Thank you.
Mine, Mike. Take care.
All right. We're all going to be praying for the success of Sam Brownback, and if you'd like to learn more about his office, it's a part of the U.S. State Department, and there's a page on their website. Go to state.gov and search the Annual Report of International Religious Freedom. It's a very sobering read about what's happening in our world. All right, Keith, take it away from here.
Coming up, take a trip to America's Bunny Museum in California and get ready to see if Lucas Hogue can successfully shoot an apple from Mike's head. Then Uncle Si and the Psychotics will perform. Don't go away.
Hey, have you ever thought about how rabbits are part of our culture and language? So you haven't? Well, you will now, because if you have dust bunnies in your home, if you can remember rabbit ears on your TV set, do you know what bunnies have to do with math and magic? Well, we're going to take a little trip to California, of course we are, where there is a home-turned museum that now holds over 35,000 bunny items and can answer any rabbit mystery you may need solved.
When people hop over, the wow comes out of everybody. Every nationality, every language. Wow and okay are universal words. We have the Guinness World Record, the most bunny items in the world. We now have over 35,000. I'm Candace Frizee, the co-founder of the Bunny Museum in Altadena, California. Every bunny has a story.
Once upon a time, a boy named Steve gave a girl named Candace a plush little bunny, all because she called him her honey bunny. So when the girl gave the boy a bunny in return, the boy and girl started giving each other a bunny every day.
And so we still give each other a bunny gift every day as a love token. So you're seeing a love story. The Bunny Museum is a love story.
365 days a year, people from all over the world hop over to see thousands of unusual bunny items on display.
The salt and pepper shakers, organic material, water globes, candles, Alice in Wonderland, kissing bunnies and hugging bunnies. All the items are made of wood. All these items are made of metal. The Easter Bunny, Peter Rabbit bedroom, saw machines, there's Elvis Parsley. Here we have all the rubber stamps. There's the kitchen, cookie jars, all the glass items. All these items have carrots. That's butterscotch. Darcy, there's Poppy.
Oh, and instead of shaking hands with guests, Candace does something different.
When people hop over and they appreciate what we're doing and they want to shake my hand, I say, no, we don't shake hands. We do bunny bump. Bunny bump. When people leave the Bunny Museum or I hang up the phone, I say, have a happy day. Disneyland is the happiest place on earth. The Bunny Museum is the happiest place in the world.
What's up, Doc?
I'm sure a lot of you are going to be canceling your vacations you had planned. Said, baby, we're going to California. We're going to go to that Bunny Museum this summer. Well, all you wascally wabbits, if you really want to discover the Bunny Museum for yourself and finally get the answer to the question, what's up, Doc? You can get all the details on how to visit at thebunnymuseum.com. You got to admit, that is unique. All right, we have been promising since last week that country artist Lucas Hogue was going to shoot an apple off my head. Well, the time has come, and Lucas is back with us. Lucas, come on over here. You have your bow.
I do.
You're going to shoot an apple off my head.
Got to hold it really still.
Yeah, you know, it's not the apple I'm worried about staying still. It's me. So,
me too.
I think maybe before you shoot it off my head, we ought to do a little practice run. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm all about practice.
Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you shoot it off the head of my mini-me.
Perfect.
Okay?
I like that better. What do you guys think?
No, this crowd wanted blood. They wanted blood, but they're not getting it tonight. No, sir. All right, are you ready for this?
As ready as I'll ever be. It goes against everything that I've ever been taught. Never point a weapon at a beautiful face, right?
Right.
But
it's
so
okay to point
case,
one at mine. All right, we're gonna be very quiet. The audience is going to give him silence.
All right.
Get away from that thing.
I've
all right.
Never,
no pressure. None at all.
There's never everybody out in the woods to watch me do this. So. All right.
Oh!
Hey.
I think you just peeled the apple. That's frightening. That is very, very frightening.
Thanks, man.
I mean, unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to once again give it up for Lucas Hogue. Now remember, you can find out a whole lot about Lucas Hogue's musical talents and his hunting skills at lucashogue.com, as well as on social media at Lucas Hogue. All right, Keith, why don't you let Lucas shoot an apple off your head? Would that be okay?
Ooh. I'm going to respectfully decline your request, Governor, but I'm willing to show off my duck calling skills because Uncle Si and the Psychotics are coming up next to sit down with Mike and sing. There's much more fun on the way on Huckabee.
Well, join the rescue mission of Samaritan's Purse. Whether at home, in times of disaster, or to heal our veterans who have served very bravely, or perhaps maybe overseas to serve those who have been driven from their homes and are trapped in sickness and poverty. Your simple phone call or visit to the Samaritan's Purse website will make someone's life healthier, safer, and filled with the good news of Jesus Christ. There isn't a better way to give of your blessings than this. And I want to say to you, thanks for helping meet the needs of those who can never repay, but will forever be grateful for what you do. All right, the TV hit show Duck Dynasty entertained its fans following the real-life adventures of the Robertson family. Uncle Si Robertson has always been the family's unmistakable uncle. Well, Uncle Si has a new vocal trio group comprised of Marsha Robertson, who is also Si's daughter-in-law, and singer-songwriter Bridget Tatum. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for Uncle Si and the Psychotics. Good to see y'all. Thank you. Si? Well, I see one thing is that Uncle Si brought his iced tea and brought enough.
Oh, yeah.
Brother, if you drink all that in this segment, we're going to have to let you go halfway through.
Yeah, I tell people I'm like a fine-tuned race car. After about 50 laps, I got to make a pit stop.
You have been described by people as a cross between Billy Graham and Larry the Cable Guy. Now, that is kind of a unique combination. what does that even mean?
Well, I know both names, okay? And Billy Graham is known for loving Jesus, okay? And the Robertson family, we're crazy that way. We love Jesus too.
Good for you.
And then Larry the Cable Guy, what I know of him, he's just crazy, okay? And I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm crazy, so that makes me double crazy. But Governor, look, I tried being normal 5 minutes of my life, and look, that was the most horrifying 5 minutes I ever spent in my life. And I vowed to never go there again, and people said I've actually made it.
I think you've safely escaped from that sense of normalcy.
That's what they say.
Now, the group that you guys have created is Uncle Si and the Psychotics.
Yes, because he's driving us crazy.
He's driving.
Thank you for that, Woo.
Y'all see what I got to put up with?
You know, there have been a lot of influences, though, in your life, musically. Who is it that has been, like, the big influence on you?
Musically, for me, there's only one artist that there'll never be another one like him, and that'd be the Possum George Jones.
That's exactly right. Never another unique
Another one just like him is Merle Haggard.
Yeah.
Okay. Conway Twitty, I guess you would call them old school. I'm a low-tech man in a high-tech world, and I go back to the, to the old guys are my heroes.
So, Bridget, working with Uncle Si.
Pray for me.
Do you wear the straitjacket? Does he wear the straitjacket?
We trade off. We have certain days that we pick. It depends on how crazy I drive him or how crazy he drives me.
And Marcia, you're actually part of the family. You can't escape.
I can't. They say, I've got to be at least 98% crazy because I chose to marry into the family.
She's the craziest one of us because, look, she met me before she married my son.
Uh-oh. There you go. So,
well, my husband said he's the new and improved version, so.
There's hope.
There is hope.
Si, when this whole Duck Dynasty thing started, I don't know what you guys in the family, Phil and Willie and everybody thought. Did you think it would turn into this national phenomena?
No, look. When Duck Dynasty was going on at its best, okay, and when we would go out at events, I would always tell the people, I said, look, I look in the mirror every morning when I brush my teeth and all this and get ready to go out and face the world. It would take divine intervention to make this a TV star. Okay? We all look like 5 miles of muddy roads, okay? So.
See, the first episode, I thought it was the adventures of ZZ Top. That's what I thought it was.
The Bearded Wonders.
All kidding aside, and we've had a lot of fun with you guys, and America's had fun with all of the Robertson family. But you've done us a great favor, and I want to say on behalf of all of America, thank you for reminding us it's okay to be normal.
Amen.
I want you guys to be sure and visit Uncle Si and the Psychotics.com. That's Uncle Si and the Psychotics.com. It's right there on your screen. You can get your copy of their new EP. Now, in addition to their music, you can also purchase your very own Uncle Si and the Psychotics limited edition Pro Series Wood Duck Call. You can get shirts and more on their online store. Now, my wife Janet and I have an anniversary coming up this month. I know exactly what I'm going to get her. You see this duck call? She's gonna love it, I guarantee you. And she can call me when she needs me on the duck call. Okay, Keith, how are we going to finish this great night, huh?
Well, up next, he's a sharp-dressed man. That's right, folks. Uncle Si and the Psychotics performed their single as seen on TV. And you will see it on your TV on Huckabee.
Here now to perform are Si, Marcia, and Bridget. Please welcome to the stage Uncle Si and the Psychotics.
All right, look, I'm gonna have to go Paul Harvey on y'all and give you the rest of the story. Me and Willie accidentally got handcuffed together, okay? But Willie's gonna find himself in a dilemma in the future because Uncle Si is known for 2 things. One of them is a Tupperware cup full of ice and tea, and the other one is a gallon jug for replenishment. So the dilemma that Willie's gonna find himself in the future is, me and him are gonna have to go to the restroom together because I'm fixing to drink every last drop of this gallon of tea.
One, two, three.
What are y'all doing? I'm trying to tell a story here. Did she put you up to this?
Cause he was on TV. Go ahead.
Anyway, Jason pulled up in the yard, him and Johnny Gowan. He got out and said, hey, look, I'm gonna put this Black Panther story to rest forever. And I said, well, what'd you bring Johnny Gowan for? He said, well, I'm gonna let him be the Black Panther.
He is not
I
a
said,
Black
Jason,
Panther. Not a Black Panther.
you don't want Johnny Gowan to be the Black Panther, okay? So look, we get in a four-wheeler over at Fields Lodge and go to Fields Land. Jason hands Johnny Gowan a walkie-talkie. We let him out.
Brigger, 1 9.
And I drive about 350 yards, and Jason says, hey, Johnny, crawl across the road on your hands and knees. I said, Jason, you're such an idiot. That's Johnny Gowan. If you put him up on the dark side of the moon, the whole world would look up and say, what's Johnny Gowan doing on the dark side of the moon?
What is he doing on the dark side of the moon?
Will y'all hush? I'm trying to tell a story here.
Like 1, 2, 3.
I've seen on TV.
Y'all see what I got to put up with?
His eyes stay. Still driving us crazy. Cause he was on TV.
Higher education is working, though, because these 3 girls that can't kiss a 3. All right, look, anyway, I'm sitting at the house and Phil drives up the yard, and I come out and say, what's going on? He said, man, I've hit the jackpot, okay? I said, well, how much money did you win? He said, oh, no. I'm talking about squirrels. They're jumping on every tree, every limb, every bush, and every log.
That's a lot of squirrels.
I said, let me get my shotgun and we'll go kill some mess up. So I get in the pickup truck, we drive up to the woods, stop, I get out and I take 2 steps in the woods, and about that time I hear, hey, I forgot to tell you, for every squirrel, there's 10 poisonous snakes. Well, I look down and there's 2 cottonmouth moccasins and a copperhead, and I start to go around them and I said, wait a minute, I gotta walk back
That's
through
3
here.
snakes, Bridget.
Bam, bam,
That's
bam.
3 and 3 shots.
Will y'all hush? I'm trying to tell a story here.
1, 2, 3. I've seen on TV. Uncle Si and his eyes stay.
I'm promoting y'all to the 2nd grade. You can count to 3. So anyway, look, I walk 100 yards in the woods and it's starting to get dark, and I actually get scared, okay? So I literally turn around and shoot my way back to the road.
Because you're Rambo?
I shot a box and a half of shell, okay?
That's
Killing
enough.
poisonous snakes.
We should sing.
I think so.
About that time,
Everybody, we wanna
the
sing
headlights of the truck,
1, 2, 3. I've seen on TV.
y'all not gonna let me finish this, are you?
Still driving us crazy. Cause he was on TV.
Y'all got a conspiracy going.
I've seen on TV. Uncle Si and his eyes stay. Still driving us crazy. Cause he was on TV.
So look, Phil's headlights.
He was on TV. Uncle Si was on TV.
Phil's headlights hit on me. He pulls up, shuts the truck off, and he says,
Are you
man,
done yet?
no, I'm not done.
We're
And he
supposed to
says,
be singing a song.
I don't want to sing a song. You know what? I can't work like this. Bye.
Here you go.
We're down a band member, y'all.
Come on. Come on. Come on. You can't quit yet.
What? What do you mean I can't quit?
No, you can't quit yet.
These people have embarrassed me.
No, they don't embarrass you. You embarrass them, but that's okay. What a fun time. Our thanks to Ambassador Sam Brownback, Lucas Hogue, our friends at the Bunny Museum, and this bunch of creative, if not crazy people, Uncle Si and the Psychotics. I hope you'll join us next week. We've got a great show. Dennis Prager, Shonda Pierce, Jay Sekulow, and his very talented band. So until then, thank you for joining us. Good night, God bless, and have a great weekend.